Snow White has a lot of adaptations, but we are going back to the beginning of Snow White. Not that, before the beginning. The Grimm Brothers' original version of Snow White, which is century years old and a lot darker. It starts off with the queen sitting by the window, but she accidentally pricked her finger with the needle. So 3 drops of blood fell upon the white snow. She thought the red looked pretty on the white snow, and she wished she had a child, as white as snow, as red as blood, and as black as ebony. Her wish came true when she had a daughter with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. Speak about getting exactly what he ordered. So they named this child Little Snow White. But unfortunately, the queen died after she was born. So the king took another wife, a beautiful but proud woman who covers beauty to herself. She had a looking glass, which is the magic mirror. She would often ask the looking glass who is the fairest in the land, to which it would always respond, "You, O queen." But when Snow White was 7, she became quote unquote more beautiful than the queen. So when the queen asked the looking glass her usual question, it told her, "You're still beautiful, but Snow White surpassed you." That made the queen extremely envious. When the queen realized she couldn't be the fairest in the land, not with Snow White running around, she planned to take Snow White out of the picture. So she paid a huntsman to do just that, and bring the girl's lung and liver as a souvenir. However, when the huntsman tried to take Snow White's life in the woods, she used this pretty privilege to save her life. It literally says in the book, as she was so beautiful, the huntsman had pity on her. So he takes an animal's lung and liver back to the queen, which she cooks and eats. Snow White, scared in the forest, ran past wild animals and they did her no harm. Okay, does pretty privilege works on wild animals too? When it was evening, she saw a little cottage, so she went inside to rest. Everything was smaller, and unlike the animated version, it was really neat and tidy. She saw small 7 beds, 7 small beds, 7 plates, 7 knives, just a bunch of little 7 stuff. Snow White was so hungry she decided to eat a little food from all 7 plates and drink wine from all 7 cups. She went further and tried out the bed and chose the best one for herself. Talk about not settling for less. Real selfless story. But when the dwarfs came back, they noticed a change in the order of their cottage, and they were not pleased about it. But when they saw Snow White sleeping, she was so lovely they decided not to disturb her sleep. Hey, little advice here. If you want to get lost in the forest, at least be the fairest in the land. The next morning, when she woke up, she and the dwarfs carried out the necessary introduction. She told them of her evil stepmother. But they told her, "Hey, you're cute and all, but you can't just stay here. We put food on your table, clothes on your back, and a roof above your head, and you not do something for us in return. 'Cause I don't know if you noticed, we're not your uncles. So here's the deal. We go out every day to mine to provide for us all. You take care of the house, cook, knit, make the bed, keep everywhere tidy, make life easier for all of us, and you're golden. We got you. You won't be hungry." Purely transactional. Snow White loved the new arrangement. It beats being alone in the woods or being with an envious stepmother, who for the record never really told Snow White why she got such a beef with her. She agreed and every day the dwarves would go out and mine for copper, gold and other ores. When they come back, their supper is ready. Life was good and easier for both dwarves and Snow White. But since she was alone all day, the dwarves specifically warned her not to let anyone in, cause the evil queen might come for her. Wonder where the King Snow White father is all this while? Well, so do I. It wasn't long before the queen went to the magic mirror to seek validation for her beauty. But this mirror not only told her Snow White is still alive, it also gave off her location. And so the queen, sipping in envy, realized that if you want something done, you do it yourself, especially something this diabolical. So she disguised herself into an old peddler woman and took a trip over 7 mountains to the cottage of the 7 dwarfs. All this stress just to be the fairest. She knocked on the door and said she got pretty little cheap things to sell. Snow White, who didn't want to let this sweet deal go and who might possibly be on payroll or taking the dwarf's money, because last time I checked, Snow White ain't got no money. She asked the woman through the window what she got. The woman showed her a beautiful lace and Snow White led the woman in to lace her up. The evil queen laced her really tight that she lost her breath and fainted. She, thinking Snow White was dead, ran away in glee. But the dwarves soon came back and saw her. They cut the tight lace, and when she recovered, she narrated what happened. And they told her it was her stepmother. Surprise, surprise. They still want her to take care of herself and not let anyone in. But when the queen got back, she asked the mirror her usual question. The little snitch told her that Snow White is still alive and the fairest in the land. So the queen thought of another plan to be on top. She used witchcraft to make a poisonous comb, took the form of another old woman, and off to the cottage again. She said she had cheap things to sell, but Snow White told her to go away because she can't let anyone in. The old woman suggested she look at it through the window, which she did. She showed her the comb, and Snow White liked it, so she let her in. Really, girl? The old woman went further to comb the hair for her. Immediately she put the comb, poison took effect. Snow White fell unconscious and the old woman ran away again. The dwarves came and saw her on the ground. They looked around and saw the comb. They took it out of her hair and Snow White came back. She told them what happened and they warned her again to not let anyone in. Once again, the mirror informed the queen that Snow White is very much alive and is 10 times still prettier than her. She swore to take Snow White's life, even if it cost her hers. She went and made a very poisonous apple. It also looked really good, but anyone that eats of it shall surely die. It had a really red cheek and a whitish cheek. She made it that only the red cheek was poisoned. Once again, she took the form of yet another old woman and went off to the cottage. Snow White told her to go away, but the woman convinced her to eat the apple. She said she would eat the white cheek and Snow White would eat the red cheek. Snow White, in all her naivety, accepted the offer. Dude, you gotta stop taking things from old women. I mean, don't you see a pattern or does those dwarves not feed you enough? Snow White ate the apple and it did the trick. She was gone. The dwarves came back and they could do nothing. The mirror assured the queen she is the fairest this time. But the dwarves, heartbroken, mourned Snow White for 3 days and set off to bury her. But she still looked so beautiful, so they decided to put her in a transparent coffin, wrote her name in golden letters, and stated that she was the daughter of a king. They put her up in the mountains, and one of them always watched it, which is kind of creepy, I'm not gonna lie. She stayed a long time in the coffin, but her skin was still as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as dark as ebony. But one day, a prince came into the forest. He spent the night in the dwarf's house and saw Snow White. He begged them to let him take the coffin back, because he cannot live without seeing Snow White. They took pity on him and let him take her. But when his servants were taking the coffin back, they stumbled on a tree stump. So the poison apple in Snow White's throat came out. She woke up and lifted up the lid of the coffin. This didn't creep them out. The prince, filled with joy, confessed his love to Snow White and asked her to marry him. She agreed and they had a big wedding. The evil queen was invited as all royalty were. She didn't know it was Snow White's wedding, so she looked fancy and went to seek validation of her beauty from the mirror. This time, the mirror told her that the young queen is the fairest in the land. She was angry. However, she decided to go see the young queen for herself, nonetheless. But when she got there, she recognized Snow White almost immediately. She was afraid, which was valid because they brought iron shoes straight out of heated coals, which she was forced to wear and dance till she died. 'Twas the end of an envious heart and the end of Snow White.